Hello, welcome to the Context Podcast. My name is Enoke Kaumba. This is where we review stories that were reported by the Namibian newspaper during the course of the week. In today's edition, Minister of Health and Social Services Kalumbi Shangula says long-distance bus drivers' lack of planning around the COVID-19 curfew is causing passengers to be forced to sleep at roadblocks.
We knew that he raped long time ago, like in 2030, but they still allow him to teach in school. That is not normal. Why did they allow him to come back? And now he came to rape another learner again. That was really not good. They were not supposed to.
And we take a look at the story of the teacher who has been accused of raping a grade 11 pupil at Mohr Secondary School, who resigned and later in court said he is being plotted against. Eagle FM, the boss of the talk radio station, John Walenga, said there is no need to challenge the Communications Regulatory Authority after it has banned the station from broadcasting in Windhoek.
What he did is an act of cowardice. It must be directed that it is cowardice for a leader of this country not to come to this house and act responsibly. It's an act of cowardice.
Opposition parties who had vowed to disrupt President Hage Geingo's speech to open parliament were left furious on the day of the opening when a pre-recorded video statement was instead played.
When Air Namibia files for liquidation, government has committed itself to support employees.
And the end. Air Namibia shuts down to cost billions to the government. Right, we start off with Monday's stories. Bus drivers blamed for roadblock sleepovers by the Minister of Health, Kalumbi Shangula. Charlotte Nambaja reported on this story. Let's hear from her.
The story is all about passengers that are raising their concerns about sleeping at roadblocks due to curfew hour. So the passengers are raising their concerns that it might actually be more of a risk to contract the coronavirus due to the fact that they are sleeping in vehicles or either transport or private vehicles without enough ventilation, which might be exposing them to the virus. However, the Minister of Health, Dr. Kalumbi Shangula, advised them to actually plan their trips ahead.
Okay, so did you maybe speak to some experts in this story? What are the experts saying when it comes to this issue?
Yes, we spoke to a local doctor, Ferlin de Almeida, and she also mentioned that when a vehicle is parked, it's not like the one that is actually driving, and there's quite a difference. Imagine traveling or driving within these cars for hours, and again being trapped or stuck in that bus in the same vehicle for the 8 hours that you are waiting for curfew to be over might actually also be a risk, because she mentioned that we are not sure whether the driver is going to keep on the aircon all the time. And to be realistic, we don't know how many people will be able to sleep with their mask on as well. And yeah, we don't know whether the windows will be open. We don't know what actually will happen there. So she actually just asked us to be realistic. And she also advised people to plan ahead and to travel only when it's necessary.
Teacher claims rape charges a plot after being informed of the charge he is facing. Teacher Aristides Kamatuka, who's 53 years of age, remarked to Magistrate Linus Samunzala in the Windhoek's Magistrate Court that these things, and I quote, these things were a plot against himself. He also said he would, through his lawyers, have counter charges against the two complainants in his case. Charmaine Gachihewe and Sheligan Peterson, as well as Werner Menges, reported on this story. Let's hear from Charmaine.
My story basically looks at when students or the learners at the school went and had a peaceful protest, calling out for the teacher to be arrested. It is alleged that the incident happened on the 3rd of this month, the first week I think when the school opened, and then the student, I don't know if he made the claim the same day or later on, but the teacher, after the incident happened, after the incident allegedly happened, booked off by his doctor for 2 days. So then the protest by the students happened on Friday, and that's where the students were calling out for the school to take action. And I think they had the blessing of their school principal. And at the time as well, the student or the learner had gone and then he opened or he laid charges against the teacher. The 19-year-old student, I'm not sure where he was, but at least he had the solidarity of his fellow students. And then the 53-year-old teacher wasn't there at the school when the incident happened. Then the Saturday he went in to go hand in his resignation, and that's when the police was called in and he was arrested the same day. He appeared the Monday in court, and also additional Monday then GBV activist and other activists, Nanso as well, then staged also another peaceful demonstration to just call out not only this specific teacher who allegedly raped, and apparently he has done it before. He has allegedly raped before another student as well at the same school, I think in 2013. So not only were they calling out for this teacher, but they were calling out for other teachers who've been accused of allegedly raping, or not raping, but allegedly sexually harassing learners at the school. So him saying the charge, I mean, at the end of the day, you know you are innocent until proven guilty by a court of law. Him saying it's a plot, we will never know. We'll have to leave it to the court to divulge this information. You know, I mean, he has the right to defend himself with regards to the charges laid against him. But the case has been postponed and he's set to appear again in court.
Looking at the evidence within the story, what could be the possible developments?
Hopefully, more students will come out with evidence of alleged rape or alleged sexual harassment or alleged something, because from what we are seeing on social media and from what we are reading from people who were close to this person and from also students who are coming out with their own evidence, it is allegedly not the first time, or not even the 2013 case was the first time since it happened. So yeah, we'll see. The story will develop. Let's wait for his next appearance in court, and then afterwards we can really get into depth in terms of, is this man really guilty? Or, I mean, not is he really guilty, but what are the courts saying in terms of what is the evidence around this? You know, more people can come out, and maybe even former principals who have defended him before during the 2013 alleged incident, maybe they could also just come out and say maybe there are learners who have reported such incidents before.
Eagle FM, The Eye, the station's boss, John Walenga, said there is no need to challenge the Communication Regulatory Authority after it has banned the station from broadcasting in Windhoek. Eagle FM ceased broadcasting in Windhoek on the 1st of February after it was found in breach of its broadcasting license. Why only now? Shamin Gachewa again on this story.
Last week, the Communications Regulatory Authority, CRAN, decided to clip the wings of Eagle FM, and they were prevented from broadcasting in Windhoek because there were some limitations on their license that they did not meet prior to starting broadcasting in Windhoek. I mean, CRAN was allowed to broadcast since 2019, if I'm not correct, but CRAN only decided to act now, and we would not really know why. I have tried to inquire from CRAN in terms of why only do they react to this now. I mean, if this station, this Only Talk radio station, has been already operating in Windhoek since 2019. So this is a question that still needs to be answered by CRAN, and we are still waiting for that response. But Eagle FM was moving to get their wings unclipped. It's one of those stations that are like respected, and they've been moving to get to address the issues as laid out by CRAN, where exactly where their limitations are, what they need to fix before they can start broadcasting in Windhoek again. So that was the story. That was the idea behind the story. So CRAN, and I think they're still working on that, and we're waiting for the outcome. You know, I'm sure a lot of people miss listening to Eagle FM.
Parties such as Namibia's economic freedom fighters and the Popular Democratic Movement, as well as Rally for Democracy and Progress, RDP, were anticipating Hage Geingob to appear in the National Assembly, but instead they were treated to a virtual message. Sakeo Zikela gives us more details to this story.
It is common cause that the president normally officiates the opening ceremony of Parliament every year. Due to the COVID-19 realities, parliamentary officials decided to scale down on their normal activities that takes place on the day of opening of Parliament. This includes the military parades, cultural performance, and dances by school children. So these events were, of course, cancelled, and Parliament decided to also reduce the number of attendants to 50 people as per the COVID-19 regulations. These 50 people were supposed to include the president himself, the president's aides and security, and all these other people that comes from State House. But when the official ceremony was initially announced, the Parliament had indicated that the president was going to make an appearance and give his statement physically in the chamber. But we only came to find out on the day of the ceremony that the president was indeed not going to be there physically, and he was going to make a pre-recorded statement, or let's say a visual statement. This announcement came as a surprise to most of the MPs who expected the president to come so that they can roast him with questions and on the official scandal and all these other things. Then they were furious. Actually, they were asking the Speaker of Parliament or Speaker of the National Assembly, Peter Kachavi, to explain the issue. But of course, it was nothing major, but due to the fact that they were not told in advance, that in itself became an issue, and that's where the whole commotion started.
Okay, so is there a law that really compels the president to say, for example, that really the president needs to be present when Parliament is being opened?
Of course, as the Prime Minister argued in the story, that there is basically nothing written, or let's say in law and in the parliamentary standing rules and orders, that requires the president to be physically in the chamber to make that statement. And normally the statement that the president makes on the opening day of Parliament is not really a significant, an important statement to say, but it's an official statement that to open the activities of Parliament for that year. The main appearance that the president needs to make in Parliament, and where he is required to answer questions from oppositions and from all MPs, is during the State of the Nation address. And some oppositions are now worried that now that the president has chosen to now only appear visually on the official opening ceremony of Parliament, he might also do the same during the State of the Nation address, which might now give away a wrong precedent and give a chance for the president to dodge questions, important key questions that the public wants.
And finally, we look at the big one, if not the biggest of them all this week, the end for Air Namibia. Air Namibia shuts down to cost billions. Now, the government will spend around 300 million to pay salaries of Air Namibia employees who will stay at home while the 74-year-old airline is shut down. The closure of the national airline marked the end of an institution that has gobbled up to 11 billion Namibian dollars in government's bailouts over the past 2 decades. Now, from Andreas Guibeb all the way to Mr. Theo Mberirwa, it was an interesting every time just bails out and bailout. I leave you with the sounds of what happened at the press conference of the announcement.
So the discussions that we've had leading up to the conclusion we have reached, in fact, were done quite a considerable time ago already. So there were obviously a number of issues that still needed to be resolved.
And that's it for today's Context podcast. For me, Enoke, it's been a pleasure being in your company as I give you the context of the stories through the journalists that covered them in the second week of February. Thank you very much for listening. And of course, I do wish you a happy Valentine's Day. For me, Enoke, is bye-bye.